Gee, Steve, what are we going to do tonight?
Same thing we do every podcast. Tell him how we sees it.
Okay. So, what's this all about?
Well, I help people realize their wildest ambitions. People like you.
People like me.
I've been watching you, rooting for you, wanting to meet you for some time now because I love the exceptional, the driven, the dogged, someone inquisitive and curious. Someone who, due to no fault of their own, finds themselves always at the short end of the stick. And that's why I'm here, to help the unseen, the unheard. And if we work together, with your once-in-a-generation mind, and then my, skills, you're capable of building something iconic.
Okay, Mr. Dormammu man.
Dormammu? Dormammu? That ugly pillock isn't fit to clean my glorious arsehole.
Okay. If it ain't Dormammu, then what?
I'm sorry, I should have introduced myself. I go by a lot of names. Some of them are actually a bit cruel and hurtful to me. But I like you, Riri, so you can call me Mephisto.
Mephisto.
Hello.
Oh. So, is that supposed to mean something to me?
Here we go. It's How We Sees It, episode 296. We're covering this week. We're going with the Marvel miniseries for Ironheart. This was a 6-episode miniseries that came out a couple months ago. It was the latest Marvel at the time until just recently, where we had Fantastic Four hit the theaters. We've been meaning to do it, and we are finally now going to get to it.
Delayed, but kind of like the series was delayed. It was shot in 2022, but I think they ended up, too many series were being released all at once. They decided to stretch them all out, and this is the one that kind of got the last.
Didn't it also get
lane.
Stuck with some writers' strike stuff too? Didn't that hit this a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit, but it was already filmed before the writer's strike happened, so they had that, and then they also had to put a lot more into the post-production because of a lot of the technology. So those were kind of the collection of excuses, but I think the main thing was just people were overloaded on too much MCU and things weren't being well received, and so they decided to spread out their calendar a bit.
Yeah, it makes sense. I can see that. All right. So we're going to get into everything Ironheart, her whole 6-episode series and all of that. But before we get into that, we're going to get into some fabulous cocktails that we create, because that's what we do here on How We Sees It, is we make a cocktail or a drink that we pair with whatever it is we're watching or discussing or talking about.
Or whatever.
Or whatever. I do that every time I go behind the bar. I'm like, what am I going to pair with this? Let's see, I'm standing here bored. I'll pair it with that. So yeah, we'll go with that. Let's get into it. I will let you go first, Nina. Or have you go first, not let you. Have you.
Demand.
Request.
She go first.
Suggest.
Uh-oh. Suggestion. I think we lost her, though.
But she is.
Yeah.
She's
all right, Bo.
Okay, well, I'll start off.
You jump in and take that. I demand you take that place.
Sounds good. All right, so I was struggling, and I talked to Nina a little bit earlier about this, but I was definitely struggling today with coming up with a cocktail for this, because I didn't really it's not that there wasn't a theme, I just find a theme that was cocktail centric. But I do remember forget if it was episode 5 or 4, but there was the episode where they're all in the auto shop, and the dude comes in, the brother. I think he's a brother. He's Natalie's brother.
When they build the second suit or the next suit out of the car. Yeah, I think that was episode 5.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there you go. So anyway, so when the brother brought in coffee for everybody, and he goes hey, I got some, like, whatever he said, got some Joe for you or whatever, got some coffee for you. And the kid who's like probably 12, 10 was like,
yeah, he's like,
all right, coffee. He's like, none for you. I got you apple juice. So I thought that was pretty funny, because I always think like, what kid at 10 is drinking like coffee? Like, they're drinking some, oat milk, like sugar this, sugar that. It's basically a milkshake kind of thing. He's not drinking like coffee and cream. Yeah. Not drinking coffee and cream right out of the gate. So I did a cocktail. I took a cocktail. There's a cocktail out there called the Puppet Master, and I did a play on it, calling it the Minor Puppet Master. It goes 2 ounces of whiskey, a half an ounce of Kahlua, and the original recipe calls for coffee over top. So it's kind of like an Irish coffee kind of ish drink. But I went with apple juice, and I did some research. I didn't just like blindly do all this. It was like, Kelly even was like, "Oh, that's going to be awful. Like, how could you drink that?" Or like coffee and apple. And I did, like I said, I did a lot of research into it and stuff. And there are some things where apples pair with coffee. Whiskey pairs with coffee pretty well. So I went with that, and it is. I'm going to take another sip. I had Kelly try it. She actually liked it, so that's a plus.
I was gonna say that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, so it's just got a good you taste the apple juice first, and then you taste a little bit of the coffee, and then the bourbon, the alcohol, the bourbon kicks in. It's just like a nice, pretty well balanced cocktail. I'm actually like, not to say I would necessarily make it again. I have a bunch of apple juice left over. I don't know what I'm gonna do with all this apple juice that I don't normally drink, but I'll figure something out. But so I went with that. So it came out pretty good. And then for my my high test, I guess my low test, I usually get a beer, but for this one I just went straight along the apple cider one, and I went with AleSmith hard apple cider for that. So I've never had the AppleSmith. I have had, there's that one brand out there that's kind of like a white label with some orange writing, a little blue on it. That's like kind of California something. That's like the standard apple cider I see everywhere, but this was a new one, so I wanted to give it a shot.
Cool. Sounds good. All right, well, Nina, now that you're back, how about you tell us what you're drinking?
Unmute. Oops. Noah,
I thought I was unmuted.
No, you've got a little max headroom action coming with your audio.
A little choppiness.
We might have to troubleshoot that in a moment. But let's hear what Nina has to say before we break into the technical issues.
Well, spoilers, everybody. Mephisto from the comic shows up in this, and I'm sure we'll talk about him. But there is, I knew there was an absinthe called Mephisto, which they do not sell in Pennsylvania.
I have. That's the brand actually.
And I couldn't afford it anyway.
I got a little airline bottle.
Oh, see, that would be perfect. But there is a cocktail called Mephisto, which is made with absinthe, but it's mostly a kind of a wet martini. It's 2.5 ounces of gin, a half ounce each of dry and sweet vermouth, and then a spoonful of absinthe, Scotch, and simple syrup, and then a dash of bitters. So,
wow. It's got a lot in it.
It's like I said, it's just like a really wet martini with some interesting flavors in it. So let me give it a try. That isn't too bad. That isn't too bad. I prefer my drink a little drier, but it's not too bad. So
Nice.
Sounds pretty good. It sounds kind of like a.
Yeah.
I think they call it some people. I think it's called a perfect martini. Not some people call it that, but it has both sweet and dry vermouth in it, but it doesn't have all that other jazz. So.
Right.
Nice. All right, well, I'm going to go and save Steve's excellent cocktail for last. Like he always brings the thunder. So, not setting you up for anything, Steve.
Yeah,
but I also so originally I was going to go with also a Mephisto drink.
Oh.
But I saw yours before, so I changed the name on mine just because I was like, we don't need to have the same. But I went off of one that I found. It was called the El Diablo, and I kind of switched it up from that. And then I was just going to call it Mephisto, the slow play. And then, but what I ended up calling this is the Devil's Deal. And basically, you know, I went from that El Diablo and kind of what it started off with, and then just went completely sideways when I started picking out my own stuff from my bar. I went with 2 ounces of a mezcal, 2 ounces of mezcal because I wanted to have that smokiness, right? Anytime you think of a devil, you think of hell and the fire and brimstone. And so you got to go with something a little smoky. And the El Diablo is a tequila drink. So I was like, perfect, I'll start with mezcal. And that's about as far as I went into the El Diablo. From there, I changed things up because we got Mephisto and we've been waiting for Mephisto from the time Marvel started doing their miniseries with Wanda, the WandaVision show. Everybody's like, oh, it's got to be Mephisto. We're going to get Mephisto, and just on and on and on and on. And we finally got him. So that's that slow play. So I went with 1 ounce of a slow gin. Right, threw that in there. And then I was looking at my stuff that I'm like, what else can I put in this that's going to make this drinkable? I have a 1 ounce of a pistachio cherry syrup. I figured that would kind of give a little bit of a sweetness to this, kind of offset a little bit of that tequila flavor. And you know, on top of the smokiness, you're still going to get a decent flavor. With a 1/2 ounce of a blood orange bitters, just because blood orange and blood deals, and you know, there's a point where he says you can sign it in ink or you can sign it in blood, kind of went with that aspect. So, and then
Nice.
just to get a little bit of citrus in there to kind of keep that flavor profile going decent enough, I did a 1/2 ounce of a fresh squeezed lime. Put that in the shaker, shook it up with some ice, poured it into a glass with some more ice, and that's what we have. And it looks really cool. It came out really nice. It's got like this kind of dark orangish color to it, so it kind of almost has like a burning hell look to it. It's got a sweet smell to it, so it's not over the top with the tequila. Yeah, it's kind of, you know, it tastes kind of like a smoky orange. Like if you charred an orange and took a bite of it, kind of has a flavor similar to that. So not too bad at all. I would potentially drink this again.
Nice.
So, but that's the Devil's Deal.
All right. That sounds great. You know,
Sounds good. Yeah.
my theme kind of came from Mephisto as well. So, in fact, you talk about the flaming orange. I actually garnished mine with a slice of orange that I cut out, kind of like a devil's horn, and I flamed the end of it. So it's a burnt orange twist in a sense. So you could see it sticking up like a horn in my cocktail. But so I'm calling mine the Hoodwink, and as the name suggests, it's about deception, this idea. But of course, we have the hood in there that, in a sense, he got a little bit hoodwinked by Mephisto. He actually, makes a deal with Mephisto, gets played in the process. And then in the end, Riri, thank you, also makes a deal. And I remember, this is the very end of the movie, so I'm sorry I'm bringing that up now, but it kind of left me. I missed that. You're still doing you did your Max Headroom again. Yeah, okay. Spoilers. But I decided to kind of think about it a little different. I thought, maybe she's got something up her sleeve and she's setting a trap for Mephisto. And so I'm thinking about it that way because that makes me like interested in a possible season 2. But anyway, that's the idea of the drink. I tried to kind of play it smooth and then lull you in with it, and then get you something, have it kind of change up on you a little bit. And I got to admit, I've been taking a few sips of this drink, and this is a damn good drink. So I started with 1.5 ounces of some bourbon. I used a Heaven's Door Revival bourbon, which has got a little smoke to it, that was the idea, was to bring a little smoke to it because of Mephisto. I used a 1/2 ounce of Amaro. I used a Sirene Amaro, which I thought, hey, there's something that's going to lull you in a little bit. Here's a new ingredient that I didn't have before that I bought. It's a Solerno blood orange liqueur, which is really good. I wanted to get the blood orange just because I thought, hey, here's something that gives you some sweetness, and then, there's a little violence to it with the blood. Twist things upside down. Then I put a 1/4 ounce of Ancho Reyes chili liqueur. So this is where that heat creeps up on you at the end. 1/2 ounce of 2-to-1 honey syrup and 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. And again, I put that twist on it. I put it in a rocks glass with a nice big ice cube. Ooh, it's really, really good. I think what I like about it is it has such a nice, smooth, sweet, upfront taste that, you get that bourbon, but then that heat creeps in, and it's really nice. So I'm not usually as, I like the drinks I make, but this one is just kind of a standout. So anyway, I called it the Hoodwink, kind of based on the hood and just the fact that he's playing you and Mephisto's playing you.
And you got wink.
Yep.
Nice. No, that sounds really good.
Yep.
That sounds really good. It's funny that we a lot of us went towards the Mephisto aspect of it. And like you, Bo, I also was struggling trying to figure out what the hell to do a drink with this, because it's like there's nothing there wasn't a lot to really go off of. There wasn't like a common drink thread, at least. I mean, there was definitely a common thread to the thing, but I couldn't associate it to a drink. Yeah, that was me too. It's like there's themes, but they're not cocktail friendly themes, essentially, or at least not in my mind. I don't know. So I don't know. I think we're kind of always faced with that sort of stuff in everything we do. So I don't know. Sometimes there's so many, it's hard to pick one. I think we actually had that. I had that problem with Superman. There was a lot of little things that could have worked, and it was like, oh, which one do you go with? Which one really resonates, and which one can I put together a good drink with? This one, it was more like, oh shit, I got to find a theme. Now I got a good theme. Now what can I do with it? It's, it made it a little bit more difficult for me, at least. But now that we got our drinks out of the way, and it sounds like they're all pretty good, let's get into this. This series, to me, I mean, we got introduced to Riri Williams and Ironheart in the second Wakanda movie, the Wakanda Forever. No.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, well, yeah. That was the second one, right? Black Panther was the first one. Wakanda Forever was the second one. Okay.
And I mean, I don't remember. I should have went back and listened to our episode on that, because it would have probably been better than a lot of the stuff I found out there. There's not a lot of podcasts that covered Ironheart, apparently, because I did searches on it and was not finding a lot. And the ones I did find were so-so. Some of them were definitely not for me as a listener. Some were ones that podcasts I listened to in the past and realized why I don't listen to them anymore too. So it was kind of, there wasn't a lot out there for me to get into. So I tried watching a little bit of this today, and to me, this is very unmemorable, very unremarkable. Like, other than Mephisto, if Mephisto wasn't in this, I think this is a very throwaway, just mini series. Like, there's not a lot to it. So I wouldn't disagree with that kind of. It's like, I liked the story. Like, I definitely was interested with the story, and I kind of wanted to know where it goes, but it wasn't like, it wasn't so much that I couldn't wait to see the next episode. Like, I wasn't like done with episode 1 or 2 and was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for the next one. Like, when I was watching WandaVision and some of the other ones, She-Hulk, and some of the ones I liked, and Noah, you have your favorites, everybody does here. But when I have my favorites that I'm watching, it's like I couldn't wait to get the next episode queued up. I'd stay up too late or whatever. This was like,
I might not even finish this episode. I got some other stuff to do. Like, but I still was interested enough to know what happened. It wasn't like Moon Knight for me, where I was like, I couldn't care less and didn't even want to turn it on. You know, it's just kind of somewhere in between.
So it's funny you say Moon Knight, because that is one I have gone on record saying I don't think is that great, right? I would much rather watch Moon Knight than this ever again.
Really?
Yeah. I found Moon Knight more entertaining than this. To me, part of the problem I had with this is the character of Riri Williams is not enjoyable. There's no one in this to root for, right? There's no one in here. You're like, oh, there.
I was rooting for Natalie. That's the only person.
I mean, actually, you're right. As the AI, she was a good character and fun. But other than that, the rest of them, there's like nobody in this. Like the gang of misfit thieves or whatever were ridiculous, and I didn't enjoy any of the time with them on the screen. The main Parker Robbins or the Hood, the stupidest looking thing I've ever seen on the Marvel screen. That dumb guy standing there with that fucking Halloween-esque cape on just looked dumb as hell. I mean, I get it. That's comic accurate. The guy wore a hood and he has magic and he shoots people. That's literally the guy from the comics. Not a lot to him, but it wasn't interesting. And I also felt that they did Riri a disservice by kind of having her become a criminal. Having her like really like first off play the victim. Like I can't be Tony Stark if I don't have millions of dollars. I can't be this if I don't have, all the, and then go the route of being a thief instead of like overcoming that and like finding the way to do it the right way rather than just jump both feet first into like, nah, I'm going to be a criminal and I'm going to find my way no matter what. That to me just wasn't an enjoyable characteristic.
I have to agree with you. I think, and I did like the show, but it's funny. It's like one of the quotes Claire really likes from all the MCU is Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps, and it's like. Okay, so you could argue maybe yes, Tony built the arc reactor in a cave with a box of scraps. But before that, he was well educated. He went to MIT. He has 7 doctorates, blah, 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 blah. But, still, I do think, I mean, Riri had the support of her family. She had the support of her community. I think she could have done it.
Yeah. Until she went bad, she had the support of MIT. She was a student and worked there and had grants.
Yeah. I mean,
she had all the same. She had all the same potential. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, they show Tony Stark as yes, he had all this, but he was a fuck up until he got to be an older adult, right? Yeah. So maybe she even has even a leg up on that because she started out earlier and she got to do an internship in Wakanda, which you might as well just you can do anything.
Yeah, see, that was the one thing. Like I was trying to figure out when she's like, "Oh, I don't have any money." I'm like, "Why don't you call Wakanda? Just say, listen, I got kicked out of MIT. I have all these ideas. Can I come and can I, be an exchange student or whatever?"
Yeah, they would have taken her.
And I don't want to get down on it, but I agree with you. The premise is just kind of a bit contrived, from what we've seen so far in the MCU.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of there's a lot of kids who were. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, finish off.
I was gonna say there's a lot of kids who are from poor circumstances who managed to make their way. At least a little bit. Like Peter Parker was not, yes, he was bitten by a radioactive spider, but like the web fluid he invented,
Mm-hmm.
and and there's lots of different, it's. I think they could have done more like and maybe this was one of the points that they were trying to make, but I don't think they made it successfully, which is if she had asked for help, she could have done all these things. if she hadn't tried to do it, be the lone wolf,
But some people, I think that's just her personality. I mean, some people are just like that. Some people don't.
That's what I mean. Yeah. No, I understand that, but I'm saying it should have been, she should have taken a lesson, maybe. Like, don't go immediately to the criminals, when you have.
Well, she does ask for help in a way. She asks her mom at one point. She goes and finds Ezekiel. I can't remember what Joey was that his name that he was using before. She kind of did go and ask them. So it's not that she wasn't opposed to asking people, but her personality was not one that made you want to root for her, really. Like I said, the whole crew, there was nobody. Actually, the one person that I enjoyed out of the crew, right, was the bumbling idiot, Rampage, who they kill off rather quickly.
I like him too. He was probably my favorite too. I was going to say the same thing. He's one of the characters I was invested in.
Yeah, exactly. The rest of it's kind of like, ugh. The whole crew was just awkward. Outside of making it sound like I'm this total right-wing nut, but I thought it was a DEI kind of let's make representation a big part of this, and so that's that whole crew. The blood siblings or whatever are based off of actual characters that they called them the Blood Brothers, and they were big bouncer like dudes that were like the physical, but now we got I don't know if they were supposed to be sister and brother but it's definitely
they were actual, yeah.
Well, they call them the siblings, right? And then,
right,
but one of them is
they were characters already. I guess is what I'm saying.
I only know this because I looked it up a little bit because I was trying to figure out who the fuck, because there was a big thing about. Well, let me finish with that one too. One of them is the female. The other one is if I'm not mistaken, it's a transgender actor playing a transgender character and all that. But my biggest problem with them is they didn't, to me, seem any kind of intimidating as like that would be your muscle. They were the weakest fighting duo I've ever seen in the MCU. So much so that when they went hand to hand with Riri, when they're trying to kill her, she beats their ass. Who really shouldn't have been able to do shit without her suit, which was another problem I had. Is like, we're watching this for Ironheart, not Riri out of the suit. Like there should have been more suit stuff in my mind, but that was the biggest thing. Now,
just one quick interjection. No, sorry.
Yeah. Go.
Actually, they're probably the second worst fighters that we've ever seen in the MCU. The worst fighter being, of course, Thor. But go ahead.
Nice.
Yeah.
I want to put a vote in for Iron Fist.
Yeah, I'll go with Iron Fist.
Anyway.
Then we get the next character who didn't make any sense to me is why. So Slug, and this is where I first saw, and this is what made me look up who the other characters were. Slug is their hacker from Madripoor, who's played, I believe it's a trans man to woman. I don't,
she's a drag queen. She was in RuPaul's Drag Race.
I was trying to.
She was on RuPaul. Here's the thing. Like Claire knew several of the actors on here, so she was on RuPaul's Drag Race, and I can't remember if she won. She did pretty well. And the guy playing the Hood was the star of the movie In the Heights. So he's a musical theater guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My big thing with whatever Slug is that's an actual character name, whether or not it's nothing based on the same. The thug guy is Slug is a big fat white guy who's a kind of gangster. So it doesn't even if you're not even going to try and match up somewhat, just give them a different name. Come up with a fucking original name. Like, I don't care that it's a drag queen, whatever, although I don't care for that attitude. That just, to me, is annoying, regardless of the character or not. But, come up with something else. Make it more realistic. And then Clown, I didn't actually get into looking up. another just kind of goofy, character, little less than the others. But to me, it was like there was nothing to root for in this team. Right. The whole team was just kind of like, huh, okay, whatever. Yeah. I mean, actually, the one I thought the Ezekiel staying and Riri interactions were actually, I enjoyed that more than anything else in this entire series. Like them kind of geeking out over his equipment that he has and has been buying up but never played with, and her just being able to go, oh my god, this, what this does, and he's like, not really, I just bought it. There was kind of that, to me, seemed a lot more interesting, and like if they would have just figured out a way to make that the whole story, I think would have been a much better a way of going about this becoming the criminals. And there was one other, cousin John, who actually was more interesting than a lot of them too. He kind of was the smartest one too. He figured out that what was going on with Riri and was going to take her down, and then she ends up killing him. But yeah, it's, to me, it just the characters were not interesting. The Hood, to me.
I haven't spoken much just because.
No, you haven't. But that's okay.
But I was not a big fan of the characters and how they were written. I thought there was a lot of stereotypes in this gang. What I did think was pretty good, though, was how the actors elevated the material they had. To me, the first couple episodes, I was kind of rolling my eyes. It's like, this is a little tired. And this is also a series that I heard so much about on kind of all the hate chats. You get all this stuff about, I knew all about the whole Tony Stark quote because it became a meme. I mean, there was so much kind of super shit monkey memes about
monkey
that.
Bots.
Yeah, and the fact that this whole thing is built off of Disney DEI and stuff. And so I went in with kind of a, I didn't know what to expect, but I also I got the impression that this was a series they stuck on the end of whatever the season was just because it was so bad. So I was actually pleasantly surprised with kind of those negative things going in. So sometimes it's like okay, I'm not saying this was a great series. I did think the characters were really kind of written flatly. I liked the structure of the story. True. It was a much better structure than some of the crap they've been pulling out for like Echo or some of these other series they've been doing that just seem like they're completely off balance. This one, every episode seemed to move in an interesting way. But I really thought the performances elevated the poor character writing in the story, but it took me a couple episodes to really feel like the performances were building on more than the material that was there. So I'm not saying it was a great series, but it was a much better series than I expected. And I am acknowledging some of these things. It's tough to judge your DEI comments just because there was so much hate on the internet about that going in. I agree. It's like I never felt that they were messaging anything in this show. They were just kind of sharing kind of different lifestyles. If it ticks you off, I didn't know about Slug. That I get that. I'm looking at the picture of Slug in the comic books, and it's like, oh my God.
First one I saw. That was the first one I saw, and I was like, oh, and then let me see what they did with the rest. And that's why I was just like, I wouldn't have had a problem. I don't know. They gave him the introduction, and they talk about the blood siblings, and they're kicked out of every sports league for unsportsmanlike, and they show them fighting, and I was like, these should just be brutal motherfuckers, and they just weren't. They were wet noodle for what they should have been, in my opinion.
You talk about Hood, and he was someone that I did the exact same thing when I first saw him. It's like, oh my God, this guy, it really kind of bugged me. But I got to say, his character grew on him. The performance grew on me. Some of the background, how the kind of understanding more about the character got me more invested. So this was, I think, a well-paced series. 6 episodes worked really well for this, and I liked at least it had enough time to develop the characters a little bit more, so that the actors had a chance to develop them more than the script kind of allowed, because I think it was kind of a very stereotypical script, but it still was well paced, I thought. And it brought in some interesting, the whole AI thing with Natalie was an interesting concept.
That was good. And I agree. Yeah. That was good. And I wish they would have done more with Riri is supposed to be, Tony Stark level intelligence. Like, she's supposed to be one of the top 10 smartest people in the MCU, right? So she's supposed to be this super genius.
Riri is?
Riri.
Okay.
And so, and then so what I didn't see, like, I saw that she was a techie, but it didn't strike me as the super intelligent, also, and this might be a pet peeve of mine. I was watching them when they were doing their little techie kind of stuff and putting things together, and the soldering iron they were using and the size wire they're using. I'm like, that's not the shit you'd be using for some high tech super computer shit.
It's kind of amusing. I mean, I think Robert Downey Jr. kind of leaned into kind of the manic OCD type. He had some traits that kind of leaned into this idea that this guy has some brains, but then he's also kind of suffered. He's got an awkwardness that that leans into that identity. Whereas, sometimes they develop these characters and they're just like, this is just a regular person, and they're like flashing out their little soldering iron, and suddenly they're developing something. They're pounding on some metal and reshaping it into this amazing.
That was another one where I was like, oh, she did that overnight. No, you didn't.
Who is
you goddamn did it.
There was the girl that did the magic though. I liked.
Oh yes,
I liked her presence.
Was good.
I liked her presence and the way her just her look, the kind of the big glasses and kind of her presence and stuff, and that was good.
Just to back up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to your comment about how that wouldn't be all the right stuff. That wouldn't be all the right. I'm gonna quote what's his name's dad, Obadiah Stane. He built it in a cave with a pile of scraps.
We got for a couple of months. I'm just saying, she was sitting there with an arm bar trying to bend the metal on the little wheel all by herself. That shit would have taken hours alone. Like, Bo, I don't know if you ever, I'm doing Ren Fair. I don't know if you've ever gone through one of the blacksmiths booth and actually
I know.
smack some steel.
I'm just kidding. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm making a joke. It's totally fine. I get it.
But no, I get what you're right. And that's also one of the reasons, and I know Steve brought it up, the quote against Tony Stark. What I didn't like about this is there seemed to, and maybe I'm not the right person to say this, but there seemed to be a little bit of a white man hating this from her specifically. Like, oh, Tony, like not showing the respect to Tony Stark.
Okay.
In the comics, she looked up to Tony Stark. Actually, Tony Stark worked with her and gave her the AI that she first used, gave her all the grants in the very beginning. So she actually looked up and tried to emulate him in a way. And I think that they dropped the ball on this for the perspective of the stereotypes of strong black women, especially don't need anything from white people. I got a lot of that out of this.
But don't you think that's almost more realistic if they played it up like she was just like, oh my gosh, Tony Stark, she's struggling and she doesn't.
Steve, you're a guitar player, right?
Yes.
Okay. You learn a song from someone that played it. Do you go, they wouldn't be that good if they didn't have, the best guitar in the world? Or do you go, fuck that? They fucking played the shit out of that and made a great song out of it, and I want to learn it and emulate.
Well, let's go back to when I was when I was in film school and everyone kept saying, oh, you're going to be the next Spielberg or something like that. It rubbed me wrong. It's like, no, I kind of want to make a name for myself. So all I'm saying is that my youthful energy kind of countered that. And to me, that seems realistic, even though it's not respectful. It is disrespectful. It isn't acknowledging it. But I don't want to just, if I'm a computer geek and I keep getting compared to Steve Jobs or Elon Musk, sometimes that's going to rub me wrong. It's like I want to overcome that, and so you're going to sometimes say something that's a little bit pointed.
You know what I'm saying is, okay, you compared to Spielberg and you go, no, I want to make a name for myself, but did you shit on him? Did you go, no, that fucking hack?
I might have in my brain kind of, no, but I mean, I'm just saying that to me, that's kind of youthful arrogance. And to me, that's an interesting thing to explore.
She's very arrogant, for sure.
Yeah,
you're right. She's very arrogant.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying that that it almost strikes me as more realistic that she's. I mean, she wasn't in the cave necessarily to see how he actually had to do all that. Maybe she just gets this impression that he's this Elon Musk prick of a guy that has money and and doesn't know exactly how smart Elon Musk is, and I don't know.
I get that, and maybe,
I'm not
maybe
trying.
Right,
I'm not trying to say that respect isn't earned. We all love Tony Stark, but I think it's fair to think that that's how some youth are going to experience that. So we can be pissed off at it. But.
No, that's. No, that's a good take, and I didn't look at it that way, and I agree that could be the take. To me, it rubbed me the wrong way. Is like,
absolutely,
you don't shit on the people that opened up the road for you.
I'm acknowledging that it certainly is allowed to rub people the wrong way. To me, it just seems like it still resonates as something that could be almost grounded, even though we're dealing with a magic universe with Thor and Mephisto.
Right. But then again, it's one of those things, is like I said, that's why the character is not as likable as could be. Now, you mentioned the magic. Now, the magic part of this was fantastic. And I can't even, I'm not even sure the girl's name, the one that's the daughter.
Well, sure. This is like putting religion and science together. It's something that hasn't really been explored, except maybe in like Avengers. When they finally got the Avengers team assembled, and you had your Thor and your Tony Stark, which kind of clashed with that idea in mind. You've got a god and a tech genius,
Yeah, no, and you're right. It was, but I thought that, I think it is Zelma who played the young magician, like Riri's kind of cousin, essentially, who was into the magic, and they do the flip over into the bottom of the store, and she's like, "What the fuck?" Like, that to me was another interesting aspect, and I'm glad they got there, because a lot of the other stuff they were doing was not fun or interesting. It lost its legs a lot. But that to me, I was like, oh, now we're getting somewhere. They're talking about Dumam. What the fuck's his name?
Dumam.
No, that is the big guy from Doctor Strange. Dumarmu. No, that's not right.
Dumamu. Yeah.
Dumamu. Yeah, him. Anyway, I don't know why I can't say his goddamn name, but maybe it's because he's like Beetlejuice. If I say it too many times, he'll show up. But anyways, they bring that up, so it ties into the Doctor Strange of it, in that it's the same magic, the Agatha All Along, which another incredible series. Very fun, very the characters were likable in that one. Go figure. It just was one of those things. It's like, I think that's what was missing in this is there wasn't enough. Like, she was very likable. Like, if they would have had more with her and more with Ezekiel, I think this could have been a better series. Truthfully, for me,
think about
like
Agatha All Along. Every episode kind of took on a character of its own. They had different genres and stuff like that. Yeah, I did think that this series, each episode, something always struck me as like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't expect that. So it didn't fall flat like series like Echo did, or Moon. Well, there's certain one.
I enjoyed Echo better than this too. I enjoyed Echo more than this.
Wow. Absolutely did not. But
I know, and that's. I mean, I had to go. I was thinking about it. I was like, what was it about Echo? And you know what it was is I still enjoyed Echo, and I still rooted for her and her cousin. Something about her cousin and Echo just made me enjoy that whole thing, and there just wasn't anybody in this that was. That just was like, oh, he's a bright spot. Every time he shows up, I'm excited to see and hear what he has to say.
Yeah, what is this? Phase 5, right? Phase 5. So we had Secret Invasion.
Sounds right.
Which was kind of a dud. Loki, which had its ups and downs, but I think we could all agree to put that above this maybe. But Echo, really? You like Echo more, huh? Okay.
Secret Invasion, which I know I didn't like and I disliked, I still thought was better than this.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I think,
So this might be your least favorite because everything, like
right now it is. And I went into this with a lot of hope.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, because I like the Iron Man suits. I did. I really do. Rhodey is one of my favorite characters. I like Rhodey a lot, and I love him as the Ironmonger and in his suit. And he's just something about him is just he's one of my favorite characters and one of my favorite heroes. So I was like, oh, she's gonna have a new suit. It's gonna be cool as shit. She's gonna be working that, and no, she kept jumping out of her suit every chance she got. And I was like, no, just stay in the suit. That's what we came to see. You know, maybe it's the Transformers of it all. I really wanted to see Marvel's Transformers. I don't know. And maybe it goes back to also Wakanda Forever. The most useless character in that whole show was Riri Williams.
I think we all talked about it. It felt forced. It felt forced. This is a forced spinoff that they're trying to introduce.
Yeah, and that, I think it kind of kept up with that. Like I said, if they wouldn't have had Mephisto in this, there would be zero redeeming factors for this show for the overall MCU.
Okay, I disagree, but I think I've talked some of the things that I appreciated about this. So
no, and that's everybody has their own what they like about it, and like I said, there's very little for me to like. You know, Bo, we were talking about like walking away from this. I watched the first 2 episodes. Me and Alyssa watched them, and we didn't come back for almost 2 weeks. I mean, I watched it right when it dropped. I was like, yeah, I'm on this. I'm like, I think it was the day after it dropped, we were watching them. And I literally was like, I know there's another episode, but I
didn't realize you were excited about it. I thought we were even talking about it, and you seemed like almost like shunning it when we talked about it.
I actually like,
because I remember Nina even saying that early reviews are actually pretty positive. I thought she was countering something you said.
It may be I'm not one of those people that has Marvel overload. Yeah. You could feed me a series every week and I would be happy.
No, but I think you tend to be affected by some of the buzz that's out there, especially when it's, DEI and things like that.
So here's my thing on that. I don't care if you want to have representation in there, and that's fine. And that didn't bother me as much, but have good characters. You said it 100%. The characters weren't written well. So have whatever you have. And
to me, the performances elevated the characters.
They did somewhat, but the characters were horrible. And that's kind of what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about the acting that they did. I was talking about the actual characters and what they were and what they represented. And I was just like, this is not interesting. There's nobody to root for. Give me a team to root for. Like if they would have left Rampage in there and he was always fighting to get the respect and stuff, I would have been pulling for him the whole time. Like, yeah, give that guy some respect, But no, they kill him off, the one interesting one in the whole group, and the rest. And this is funny because I actually like hip hop music. I got so tired of just every other song just being a fucking hip hop like street song, and it's like, okay, I get it, yeah, right. We're representing the black people. We're representing the culture, right? This is Chicago. It's got I was just like.
But I mean, some of those songs are classic songs. I mean, it's not like
some of them were, and some of them were mumble rap bullshit.
And that's your opinion. It's some people like that. I don't, but some people like it.
That's what I mean, though. Is like, okay, how to say this without sounding just totally disrespect. Like, well, the problem is if most people right now, if you're white or other, and you say that you don't like this, you're called a racist, and you say that you don't like it because it's black, and that's not why I don't like it.
No, I don't.
Let's look at Spider-Man Multiverse because
I didn't like the art style.
You didn't like the art style, but what about the music? Because that had kind of like that same sort of cultural vibe. A lot of the hip hop music.
Just style.
I'm sorry, you're chopping up.
But it's also that is a smaller sample of it. I was saying it's a smaller sample, right? Was like it. There's 6 episodes. They're about 40 minutes long, and there's like 6 songs in every one of them. All just, I mean, other than the Alanis Morissette where they're singing in the car, everything is just hip hop. And it's like, I get it. It's, it's a black centric series, right?
And also, she's 20 years old. I mean, that's what kids that age are listening to, especially in that environment.
But this is what I mean by that. So now you take that and you go, okay, well, if I say I don't like it because I'm an older white guy, I'm being racist. And I don't like it because it's a female black lead.
I understand that you're feeling like that's a possibility. But I think
that's the hate on the internet. Like people were saying, if you don't like this, it's because you're just hating because it's a female black lead. And it's like, no, I don't. I gave it a chance.
Well, I don't think that's fair. I think this, like I said, I liked this. I liked Riri, although I think she was. I wish she'd learned a few more lessons. I think they were trying to cram a lot into this show, and which is why I think no one really got a good character development except. I mean, nobody got a good character development. They were all kind of tropes, and some people can do more with that. You know, there's some of the actors took like a rough sketch of what they were supposed to do and really worked it, and some were not able to or didn't get a chance to or whatever. And the thing is, they may have originally written this as maybe a 10 episode, and they're like, no, we can't do 10. You don't have the money for 10 episodes. We got to cut it down. Like you said, you wanted more action. They're like, no, we don't have time for people to sit around talking about their feelings, i.e. character development. So we have to get right to the action. And, so I think a lot of stuff, like I said, I think they really kind of packed 3 stories in here and really rushed through it. I'm not sure that can be fixed.
I wonder.
It's out now, so it can't be.
I'm not sure there would have been a way to fix it. And I do think, look, I agree. It's unfair to say, well, you just don't like it because, she's a black woman. But it is kind of unfair that she has to take the brunt of this. I mean, this is, Marvel fans are famous for if something is underwritten or they don't care for a story or there's a problem with it, they're like, this character sucks.
It's not even just Marvel, it's fans. It's just people in general now that you can sit behind a keyboard and stay anonymous with your comments.
That's what I'm saying. It's I think this actress did the best she could with what she was given. I think the character in the comic, as we've noted, is different. And for whatever reason, they changed her, and I don't think they were good decisions. But I don't think that has anything to do with her gender or her ethnicity. And it's just.
I agree with you. I don't. That's what I'm trying to say is I don't care that it's a female. I mean, I liked Agatha all along. That's all for the most part female characters, right? So it's not. I don't have a problem with female leads and female. Rhodey, I just said earlier, is one of my favorite characters. So I don't have a problem with her being black. I have a problem with the way this is written. Like you said, the characters were not written well. You were starting to talk, and I thought, what does this story bring to advancing the MCU? What story does this set up later? What does this make you hope? I mean, other than Mephisto now out in the world, what does this do to the overall MCU? What does it do for it?
Are you trying to question the purpose of this series? Is that what you?
If you go back and look at all the other series, right? We got WandaVision, right? It sets up Wanda to kind of go crazy a little bit. Vision is off on this tangent. Falcon and Winter Soldier really sets up the whole Bucky, Sam, friendship, and then later on turns out the passing of the Cap, moniker. Hawkeye introduced, Kate Bishop. This doesn't do anything in my mind other than introduce Mephisto.
Okay, well, let's compare it to Hawkeye since you brought that up. So what did Hawkeye do? It
brought Bishop into the world. Also, we got a second look at Kingpin, right? So we kind of moved that a little bit forward. I think we also got Echo in that, which then sets up for some Daredevil Echo stuff.
Keeping in mind that this did set up a lot of new characters that we just haven't gotten past yet. So I think you're saying those because now we have those characters that have their own series. You're saying this one doesn't have anyone.
Okay. Out of the characters that are in this, who you were interested to see again?
I'm interested in seeing how Riri and Mephisto. I really want to know what she has in store for Mephisto, because I do think she plays things a little bit. She's got a cleverness to her, and I don't think she shook his hand with this idea that she was just going to give in to wanting Natalie back. I think she had already kind of figured that out emotionally, and so she's got something else up her sleeve. I'd love to see how that plays out. So yeah, absolutely, Mephisto is kind of my interesting. I liked Ezekiel, or Obadiah's son, and kind of where he was left. I liked how he played that character, and I think it brings some possibilities. What I want to, you talk a lot about, we've talked about the underdevelopment of these characters and how the performances kind of worked out a little, or at least I thought some of the performances elevated the underwriting of the characters. But I think there was a lot of potential that wasn't fully realized that could have been better, of kind of chemistry between, they had a lot of chemistry between couples, and of course the group, the gang, all kind of how they had their chemistry, kind of a little, if that were better written, kind of that banter. And that's not something that's as easy to write with scripting. A lot of that's direction and stuff. Could have elevated the series more, because sometimes you watch a big gang of people talking and you get that Breakfast Club vibe or something like that makes it more interesting. And so that's something that I think could have elevated this series a little bit more if they kind of leaned in more on the banter and found a good rhythm to that to make it more where you could,
right. If they made them more likable characters, or like we cared about those characters. Like I could care less if I ever saw anybody in that gang again. Riri we're gonna see again, because she they keep talking about the Young Avengers or the Guardians and all this young group of replacing. So we're probably gonna see her. Yes, Mephisto. There's gonna be something, because the internet spoke early on in WandaVision and said Mephisto, 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 and so much that we had to have Mephisto. And they brought in, I can't think of the guy's name offhand.
Sacha Baron Cohen, yeah.
Yeah, to play him. So they're like, oh, you want a Mephisto? We're going to give you a Mephisto. And Ezekiel Stain. Those are the three characters out of this that, like, if we see them again, and yes, Natalie will come along with Riri because that's her AI, and yes, she was good. But other than that,
is she going to get her back?
That's what they left us with, I believe. That was the whole deal with Mephisto, right? I want Natalie back, and the deal with the devil.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
So I mean that is all that came out of this, but that's all very individual and kind of superficial. Where I was saying the other ones at least had overarching kind of stories that really touched outside of their individualness. Is kind of what I was talking.
I hear what you're saying. I don't think that is a reason to exist, though. I don't think the series. I don't think that's a necessity for a series, is to say this needs to be a part of the bigger overarching picture. I I see the flaws in this. To me, that doesn't.
About a season 2,
huh?
You said you know what would happen in season 2. I could care less if this had a season 2.
No,
like that I could barely get to episode 6. There's no way I could care if there's a season 2. I would
really like to see a season 2 if my theory is correct that she's got something up her sleeve, because I'm really curious what she's figured out. To me, that seems to be.
I hope that's the case.
How she was playing it. If she's just falling into the same trap that Parker did, then it's like, come on, you didn't learn your lesson. I mean, that would kind of piss me off. To me, that would seem like the character was just revisiting. I'm sorry. It's
poorly written.
Anytime you start talking, your audio just is choppy, and then you start talking, and then it smooths out, and so I haven't really been pausing anything, but every time you kind of jump in, it sounds like Max Headroom. So apologies to our just like that.
Sorry, people.
Max Headroom.
I wonder if it's the voice activation.
Did you change a setting?
No, but that doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
Did that get any better?
Well, it kind of if we pause and then you start speaking, I don't think there's a problem. It's just when you kind of come in over us, you know. So stop interrupting, and then you'll be fine. Well, now you're muted. Now we can't hear you at all. So you're not muted. Actually, you're just not talking. I'm going to pause it for a second while we figure this thing out.
Yeah, we can close soon. So.
Well, we're back. So we're already
all right. Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, I mean, we just covered Superman, right? So we got DC kind of coming back and really kicking ass with some stuff. So I'm really excited to see some of that. We're going to cover Fantastic Four here soon, so I'm really excited to see Marvel get back to where it was and really make us want to go to the theater and see their newest stuff. Watch the first dropping of their newest series. This to me was kind of like what's happened over the past couple, right? We talked about Echo not being great. We talked about Secret Invasion not being great. It's just kind of been that way for a while. The Thunderbolts movie was a little bit of an outlier where it actually was. I enjoyed the shit out of that. I can't wait to watch it again. I think Steve's cool uncle has a way to watch that. Yep. And I'm going to jump on and get on that because I really enjoy that. I don't have the superhero fatigue that they had talked about in the past. So that to me wasn't what did this. It just to me was one of those. It's like it was hard for me to get motivated to go back and watch this. Now my wife, on the other hand,
go ahead. Sorry, I was going to say my wife superhero fatigue, but go ahead.
My wife actually enjoyed it. For what we watched. Which. She doesn't put a whole lot of out there. But when I said, "Well, what did you think?" She said, "Oh, it's enjoyable." You want to keep watching it? Yeah, okay. So it wasn't like, yes, but she's never that way. So, I mean, take that for what it is.
True. It wasn't violent either. That's something that's usually a turnoff for her.
Right.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Bo. Right. You're gonna say.
I was just going to say that I don't get fatigue from movies. I don't get the superhero fatigue from movies. I get the superhero fatigue from the series. They were doing a lot of series, a lot of back-to-back stuff. It seemed like they were churning them out pretty quickly there for a while. And to me, that's what wasn't enjoyable for me. It's like, we just got to get these out. And whereas the movies, I think the movies are in general, like better production value, more money goes into them. Like there's a lot of benefits to the movies. And I prefer to see the movies than I would prefer to see the series. In my opinion, I don't get the fatigue there.
Do you think that for me, I get fatigue if I binge watch something that's, got a lot going on, a series. I love kind of the series development of characters. But if I'm trying to cram it into a 6-episode series in 6 hours, it can be a little bit overwhelming. And so, but I guess sometimes it depends on what you're watching and how they write it. It can vary.
Another thing that made me think about this too when you said that, Bo, those early series all revolved around the characters from the movie. So it wasn't like a new introduction, right? We didn't get really new introductions until kind of Miss Marvel. There were all a lot of, Loki, Wanda, Falcon, Winter Soldier, things like that, Hawkeye. They all were established characters and just continuing. It made me, what it made me feel like was I was going down once a week and picking up my comic book stack that they pulled for me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, I get to read these now. That's what it felt like to me when we were getting series every other month. Now it's kind of like, oh, I go down, I pull my stack. It's just a small little thing. And it's like somebody I don't even fucking know
Yep.
Just this random like episode, you know, issue 13 where you're in the middle of a story and you're like, I don't even know this motherfucker, and it's kind of a weird story. That's how it feels.
For me in my comics, it was I started later, like, so I got one comic up until like the early 2000s. So I got G.I. Joe. So all I got, A Real American Hero, and then
so my granddaughter. No,
anyway, so go ahead, real quick.
I was gonna say my wife has trained my granddaughter to say like knowing's half the battle, and if I say that or if she says it, then someone will repeat G.I. Joe.
It's very funny. So I in the early 2000s, after I got divorced, is when I started to get back into comics. And I started with like the good stuff, like the Ultimates were kind of just getting their feet on them. So I did the Ultimates, and I did like Ultimate Spider-Man and like all the Ultimate series. And then like some weeks, like it's just the timing, something didn't show up. Like there was like a low thing. So then that's when I'd start to like look through the boxes and get recommendations from the guys. And then that's when you get like, I don't know, that's when you get some of the lesser ones that are just like, you know, that's when I got like Hyperion, and that's when I got like, you know, some of those kind of comics, and Red, White, and, you know, like Red Sun, stuff like that, you know, some of those other comics and things like that. So for me, it was like, you know, I would compare these to that. It's not that I don't enjoy them. Like they're just less enjoyable than the movies, and the movies were like the Ultimates, but these series are like the fillers just to keep me in the multiverse enough to get to the next movie. I don't know. That's just kind of how my brain is kind of thinking about it.
What do you think about energy when it comes to these series? I'm looking back on like the first or phase 4. Is that what it was? Where they had the phase 4 television included things like Hawkeye and Miss Marvel and Moon Knight. Even Moon Knight, there was a certain elevated energy to the way.
There was an ampness to it. Everybody
Miss
was
Marvel, there was a youthful energy. Hawkeye, certainly there was an action energy. But even like Moon Knight, there was something more electric. Whereas when you look at Secret Invasion or Echo or Ironheart, it seems a little bit more tame. It takes on more of a dramatic feel that. It's almost like they're trying. I know. At the same time, I look at something like Daredevil, the original Netflix Daredevil, or Jessica Jones, or those. They kind of also had a very dramatic feel. It was more the spy genre. You got to feel more of the detective genre. So they went for a genre, but maybe that kind of affects how we perceive these series. And if they play at a lower energy, it's sometimes harder to really buy into or get sucked into the world.
I think what's happened is we Marvel was our favorite restaurant, right? And about halfway through, they got a new chef, and that chef just doesn't know how to make the right meal.
Yeah.
And so the meals have started to they're still the same order, right? But it's just not cooked as well. It's just not as good. And I have a feeling that's what the Marvel series has become. It's just like, I loved eating here before, but I don't know what you guys done to your menu. It's just not the same anymore. You're not hitting on all the cylinders. These fries are soggy or something. It's just one of those things. You're right, Steve. Everybody was excited in the beginning, and I think whether it's superhero fatigue, whether it's people not putting the effort into the writing or whatever that's going on, it's just not really getting there exactly. I want to go. So one of my favorite T-shirts that I've got on my Amazon wish list, going back to G.I. Joe, it has a pie chart, and it says 50% knowing, 25% planning, 15% teamwork, and 10% high fives. I was like, so cool. There's another one that says it's 50% knowing, and then 25% blue lasers and 25% red lasers. Because if you ever watched them, that's all that goes on during the battles. It's just blue lasers and red lasers. But yeah, no, Steve, you're right. Like, I think you're right. In the beginning, we were all hyped up, and I think we've come to a point where we're now starting to.
I think
whether we know it or not, fatigue is in there.
When I was talking about energy, I was meaning more from the way the series were photographed, or the way the pacing that was involved. So it was an energy that was
all part of it.
It was coming more off the screen, whereas now they're pacing more like dramas, or at least the ones that aren't sitting as well with that we have a little bit more fatigue with. So that was where I was coming. I see what you're saying though too, where we were definitely more amped up when after after Endgame. My God, we couldn't get enough. It's like, oh my God, this is the ultimate.
Would have been interesting if this came out
finale. What do you have next?
If this came out right after Endgame, would have been different. Would we have felt different?
Here's my feeling, and I've said this. I'm like, we don't have superhero fatigue. We have bad superhero show fatigue. True. Like Claire, for some reason, has gotten in. She's doing a rewatch of like the first the Infinity Saga of.
Yes, I do it all the time.
And it was fun. Like we watched Thor Ragnarok this past week. We watched the Avengers. We watched when Bo was here. We watched Ant-Man, and then I mean, it's and she's not even watching them in order, but it's like I still dig them.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like there have been I think when they do a lot of stuff, which they're doing a lot of TV shows right now, which they didn't do before, and a lot of movies. So it's like, but the thing is, it's like Brave New World. I went and saw it in the theater. I'm glad I saw it in the theater. I have not watched it since it came on Disney Plus. Thunderbolts came out. I went and saw it in the theater. I cannot wait for it to come on Disney Plus. I'll probably watch it 15 times. And it just,
exactly.
Because it's more entertaining. And it's and I think, but you can't, it's hard to plan for that. I mean, everybody wants to be entertaining. Right. Every actor wants to do a good job. Every director wants to do a good job. Every writer wants to be entertaining. And the problem is Marvel and Disney and all of Hollywood actually thinks there's some formula that they can follow that will make people like stuff. And it's not that simple. You can't just it's like, okay, we're going to start with this and we're going to move on to that. And we're going to have 3 action sequences and then a big finale where, everybody hugs. And it's like, no, it's just, and it's,
don't forget the high fives.
Like high fives. Exactly. Well, like you guys keep talking about Superman. So I'll bring that up. Superman and Fantastic Four came out like what, 2 weeks apart, a week apart?
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
2.
Right
and,
about there, yeah.
2. Yeah, 2.
And I've seen a lot of people saying, here's the formula. We don't need to see the origin story anymore. Just start right in the middle, and I'm like, yet Captain America, the First Avenger, and Iron Man have the origin stories, and they're really good. And Ant-Man has the origin story, and it's good. And the original Superman had the origin story, and it's good. And the original Batman, and the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, and blah 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 blah. And
okay, but wait, hold on. I want to quick, because you said 3 real important things in that. Iron Man, Captain America, and Ant-Man all had original stories, but those were the first movies of those characters. If we get another movie with a Spider-Man intro or a Superman intro or a Batman intro, everybody's like, I know this fucking story and I've never even watched a damn movie, because they've done it to death. So I understand what you're saying, and I agree that, yes, intros work if it's the first time we're seeing that movie character.
My bigger point being, you can't generalize.
No,
you can't say origins don't work, because sometimes they do.
Yes.
And sometimes they don't. And if they put an origin in Fantastic Four, which we'll be talking about in a couple weeks, it depends how they would have done it. They might have, that movie looks so different from all the other Fantastic Four movies. They might have done it in an interesting way. Who knows?
I think they do it as a flat. I mean, I haven't seen it. I don't know for sure. This is my guess. I'm going to go watch it this weekend. I think it's done as like a little bit of a flashback. Like they're already the Fantastic Four, and they're like, well, how did we get here? And they're going to show a little bit of it, not like what they've done in the last how many Fantastic Four movies that we've had that have failed, right, and not been good.
Not to give anything away, but
then zip it.
They don't actually do that.
Okay, that was my guess. Is that?
But still, but my point is. The greater point I'm making is not what works and what doesn't work, is anything can work and anything cannot work. It's the mistake is thinking that there's a checklist that you have to hit or a flow chart that you have to work through for it to be successful. I think you can make anything successful anything can be good if it's good. But it's very hard.
That's a perfect quote, Nina. Anything can be good if it's good, because that's kind of really.
Yeah, but it's hard to make things good. It's hard to make things good, and and you can't do it by having a 6-person committee. Pick it to death. You have to have.
I want to know. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to know what is the difference? What is the difference from the early series compared to what we've gotten? Because I don't know about you guys, but movies I go back and rewatch all the time. A lot of people go back and watch movies. Series not so much so, but I have watched I've watched WandaVision more than one time all the way through, probably 3 times. I've watched Captain the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I've watched that at least twice. Hawkeye I've watched I want to say 10 times probably all the way through.
Yeah.
There's certain ones that just are easier to watch. Loki.
I think it's a combination of 2 things. One thing is that I had a friend who was a musician, and I don't know, I think he was probably quoting somebody when he said this, but he's like, you have your whole life to write your first album, and you have 18 months to write your second.
Yeah.
So I think when they first started, when WandaVision and Loki and Hawkeye and Falcon and Winter Soldier were all some of the first ones. Like they had the person who wrote Hawkeye had, well, first of all, it's based on a super fantastic comic, which helped. But I think probably the person who wrote it just really loved Hawkeye and had been thinking about this for years, probably since they probably first floated the idea of doing a Hawkeye show, round about the middle of the Infinity saga. And he's like, how could I do this? Well, I'd have to use this comic series, and I'd have to do that, and I'd have to do that. And so he had time to fine-tune it and find the best people to direct and find the best people to do it. The other part of this equation, besides that, is I think you really have to love it. I think you have to love what you're doing. And we see this with the movies too. Like Ant-Man, which is super fun. But I think 100%. I think the director who made that was like, I love Ant-Man. You could just feel that he loved Ant-Man, and he's like, I'm going to find all the parts of Ant-Man that are fun, and I'm going to put them all in the movie. And again, and I hate to keep coming back to Superman, but I know it's on my mind. I think the reason this latest Superman movie works is the people who made it really love Superman. They love the corniness of him. They love and I think for whatever reason, I think, Ironheart, they're checking off a box. Yeah. And they have good people involved, and they have good script writers, and they have good actors, and they have I don't know if it's based on the comics or not, but I presume they're happy with the story.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Roughly.
But I don't get the feeling that whoever made it just was like, I need to tell Riri Williams' story. She is amazing. I just, and sometimes like some of the shows have that. I got that feeling with Ms. Marvel. I think whoever did that show just really, really dug her. Like thought she is so cool. I'm gonna find all the things about her that make her cool.
So
Hawkeye is like, Hawkeye is cool. Kate Bishop is cool. We're going to find all the things that make them cool and put it in this show. And it's, like I said, it's not something you can distill down and put on a list. Well, it has to come from the heart.
And look back at the Netflix series. We had Iron Fist and the Defenders. Those were kind of duds. And we had the TV series, the YA series, the Runaways and Cloak and Dagger. And
I like the Runaways. Sorry. I like the Runaways.
There was parts of it I liked.
Sure.
There was parts of Cloak and Dagger I liked. And to me, Cloak and Dagger was one of the biggest disappointments because that was one of the comic books that I just, as a child, was so into, and they just didn't capture my childhood dreams of Cloak and Dagger.
And did you rewatch? I don't know, Bo, did you rewatch Runaways? I mean, if you liked it that much, or...
I'll say this, like a million other things that's on my list. There's a million things on my list.
All right.
So
what about the Defenders? What about the Defenders?
Probably not the Defenders, but I would actually, and here's another one I know you guys hate, and this is one that I like, is the Eternals. I would rewatch the Eternals too.
Okay, I did watch that again, and it's better on a second viewing.
They're making the Eternals too.
That I think might be a mistake, but watching the Eternals a second time was not as bad as the first time. There's some things in it that are like, okay, that wasn't so ridiculous. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot to go with this. There's so many things that could just, we could get better. We could have worse. Who knows? Right. I don't know what the magic formula is. Nobody really does. I think, like Steve said earlier. There is no
magic formula.
Well, I think there is, and it's not in check boxes. I think it's in enthusiasm about what you're doing. Now, granted, yes, probably everybody that was working on this was, oh my God, this is going to be the greatest ever. I don't know. Maybe not. I really don't know, because I just, it doesn't seem like it when it really came out. So, and granted, I don't blame that on the actors. I don't necessarily blame the writers, although they really should be to blame because they're the ones that really set the base for it. The directors do what they do. It's just not one that's, it's not one of the best. Arguably, it could be not one of the worst either. I mean, there's definitely a top tier. There's definitely a lower tier. This is, to me, is in the lower tier, along with Secret Invasion, along with Echo. Even though I did enjoy parts of Echo, I get why people don't like it, because there's not the gravitas of some of the others, right? And maybe that's what's missing. There's not that world-moving, outward touching kind of feel to it where some of the others had that. WandaVision had that.
Echo to me was sloppy. Same with Secret Invasion. It seemed like they were poorly written, whereas I do get a lot of your points about this series, but to me this didn't feel sloppy necessarily. This felt like it had a structure that worked. But so that's, I think, why that's why I look at Echo and Secret Invasion. I put those lower than this series, but I agree that it's in a lower tier.
It might have been sloppy, but it was also, there's just not likable characters for the most part, and that to me is really like rewatchability. That's what gains rewatchability is that when you watch something, you want to root for someone. You want to, horror movies, you want to root for the guy to escape. You want to root for the person, in a drama, you want to root for the person to...
Or not always root by, but be turned on by. I mean, what was in Jessica Jones, our baddie, Mr. Purple or whatever, who was the bad guy? And wait, what?
The Doctor Strange, or not Doctor, the Doctor Who.
Right.
David Tennant.
David Tennant. Yeah, we didn't root for him, but there was something about him that we wanted to just keep watching him. That was he gave a performance that was magnetic.
It was scary as hell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Jessica was a great character and played incredibly well, and you know, that's another one.
She was brooding, but we still were kind of intrigued by her, and even she was sometimes hard to root for because she was such a brooding cynic, you know. And it's like
Yeah. No, you're right. You're not like, oh my God, I'm totally on your side with everything. You're sometimes like, oh God, get over yourself. But then she does something, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm with you in this. But yeah, Iron Fist, right? We all kind of we rooted for Iron Fist. We're like, come on, fucking look like you can fight. You know, he had the look. He just didn't have the, I don't know. From what I understand, the guy, I can't remember the guy's, the actor, but he's trained a lot more. So they're talking about potentially having him back. So maybe he'll look more like an Iron Fist when he's fighting. I don't know.
Finn Jones. Yeah.
Finn Jones. Nice name though. That's kind of a cool name. I'll give it to him.
Okay, there you go.
But no, this is what it was. I don't even know what's coming next from Marvel series. I do know the Fantastic Four, and we'll be back with that. That's our next big episode with everybody together. We have a throwback episode coming to you, I believe, next week, if I'm not mistaken. We're gonna handle and take a look at. Oh God, I had it on the top of my brain. It was. Oh, help me out, Steve. What we were doing?
I'm sorry.
Throwback to.
Oh, we're gonna
throwback movie.
Yeah, we're doing the video game one. The with
Tron?
No, it's not. I'm sorry. No, it's
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, that's a video game movie. I've never seen it.
Well, yeah, it plays off of a lot of video game tropes.
That's one of Claire's favorite movies. She just rewatched it this week.
It is so good.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was telling Steve. I was like, there's a couple others that are on there the list that like, oh, this would be good too. But I was like, oh, this is one of those movies that's like, I will. This is a I'm homesick and I got nothing better to do. I'll throw this on. That's that kind of movie, right? It's you know, for me, it's one of those. It's like I could just sit. If it's on TV and I'm flipping through, I'll stop and watch it no matter where it's at.
I've never seen it on TV.
Yeah, it's such a fun movie. Chris Evans is in that too.
I was gonna say that this cast is
Brie Larson
completely
too, right?
stacked.
Yeah,
Brie Larson.
So.
What's her name from Pitch Perfect?
Oh right.
Sure.
The main.
Yeah. I'm so terrible with names. You know who I mean. The guy who just won the Oscar this past year. Anyway.
That one guy, you know the guy.
You know who I mean.
Won the Oscar. You know, that guy.
His brother was in Home Alone. What's his face? You know. Anyway.
Oh,
you know
Kieran Culkin.
Kieran Culkin, yes. But it was like, this is when they were. Right. But this is when they were all teenagers and nobody knew who they were. Like, I think this was like one of Chris Evans' first movies, and he's in one scene, you know?
Yeah. And Anna Kendrick, doesn't she just play like a sister or something?
It is Andrew Kendrick. Yes, she does. I think she plays the sister.
Kendrick,
She's funny as hell in it too. Oh man,
but,
I'm looking forward to that so much. So yeah, that'll be our next episode, and then followed by that, we'll be back again with Fantastic Four. So a lot to look forward to, which is great. Yeah, with that, all I can say is, and hopefully I can say this correctly, Dormammu, that ugly picklock isn't fit to clean my glorious or asshole. Sorry, my glorious asshole.
Hail Caesars.
Hail Caesars.
Love you guys.